Welcome to KMC Technologies Group, where we help organizations turn AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and managed IT into practical business capability. Our focus is not technology for technology's sake. It is using the right architecture, automation, security, and operating model to improve business outcomes. In this training, we will build a working Gemini enterprise agent step by step. Subscribe to KMC Technologies Group for practical AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and automation tutorials. KMC Technologies Group approaches AI implementation as a life cycle, not a one-time demo. We start by discovering the right business use case and success measures. Then we design the architecture, data access, tools, governance, and human checkpoints. We implement and test the agent, and finally operate it with monitoring and continuous improvement. This same life cycle is useful whether you are building in Gemini, Microsoft Copilot Studio, AWS, or a custom agent platform. Welcome to this practical guide on creating AI agents in Gemini Enterprise. In this video, we will use Google's Agent Designer, a no-code and low-code environment for building single-step and multi-step agents. We'll first understand the building blocks, then create an agent from scratch, and finally walk through a complete IT service desk triage agent that can classify requests, use approved knowledge, and decide when to escalate. The goal is that by the end, you can repeat the same process for HR, sales, finance, operations, or any other business workflow. Before we begin, subscribe to KMC Technologies Group for more practical AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and automation tutorials. Here is the learning path. First, we will establish what Google means by an agent in Gemini Enterprise and where Agent Designer fits. Second, we will build an agent step by step, including the prompt, model, knowledge, tools, subagents, preview, scheduling, and launch. Third, we will apply the exact pattern to a realistic IT service desk scenario. Think of the repeatable design formula as goal, instructions, data and tools, workflow, preview, governance, and launch. An AI agent is more than a customized prompt. Google describes agents as applications built to accomplish specific objectives. In practical terms, an agent designer agent combines four things: instructions that define the job, knowledge that grounds the agent in trusted information, tools or actions that let it interact with systems, and workflow logic that can delegate work to subagents. That combination is what turns a conversational model into an operational agent. It is useful to separate three Google experiences. A gem in the consumer or workspace Gemini app is mainly a reusable, customized assistant. Agent Designer in Gemini Enterprise is designed for enterprise workflows and can use connected data, tools, subagents, schedules, preview, and organizational sharing. ADK, the Agent Development Kit, is the developer path for code-first agents and more advanced integrations. For this tutorial, we are intentionally using Agent Designer because it gives the fastest path to a real business agent without requiring code. This architecture gives us a simple way to think about Agent Designer. The user gives the main agent a request. The main agent follows its instructions and can consult approved knowledge, call connected tools or actions, and delegate parts of the work to specialized subagents. The result can be a response, a report, a system action, or even a paused step that requires human approval. The Agent Designer canvas brings this together through the chat, flow, schedule, and preview experiences. Before building, verify access. An administrator can control whether Agent Gallery and Agent Designer are visible in the Gemini Enterprise web app, and can also control model availability, sharing, and related features. As the builder, confirm that you can see the Create Agent option and that the data sources or tools you want to use are already connected to the app. Also, confirm your organization's sharing rules. Some workflow capabilities can vary by edition, region, feature rollout, or allow list, so treat access as a prerequisite rather than assuming every tenant looks identical. This is the reusable 8-step process. Open Agent Designer. Describe the goal. Configure the agent. Add data and tools. Add subagents where needed. Preview and test. Configure any schedules or approval points, and then create and share the agent. The next slides show each step in the order you would perform it. Step 1 is opening Agent Designer. From Google Cloud Console, go to Gemini Enterprise. Open the Apps page, select your app, and open its web app URL. In the web app navigation, click Create Agent. You can then take one of two paths. The conversational path lets you describe the agent in natural language and lets Gemini propose the configuration. The Builder path opens the Flow tab directly and starts with a default main agent node. For a beginner, I recommend starting conversationally and then checking the generated configuration in Flow. Step 2 is describing the agent. A useful creation prompt has 5 pieces. State the goal, identify the input, describe the actions, define boundaries, and specify the output format. In our example, the goal is IT triage. The input is the user's issue. The actions are classification, knowledge search, response drafting, and escalation. The boundary is that the agent must not invent policies or facts. The output is a structured summary with category, priority, next action, and an escalation flag. This structure gives Agent Designer enough information to produce a much more reliable first draft. Step 3 is reviewing the main agent configuration in the Flow tab. Click the main node and verify the name, description, detailed instructions, model, data, and tools, knowledge files, and starter prompts. You can edit these fields directly, or you can use the left side chat to tell Gemini how to change the agent. Model choice should follow your organization's enabled models and your needs for response quality, latency, cost, and region. The key point is not to accept the generated agent blindly. Inspect the configuration and make the behavior explicit. Step 4 is grounding and capability. Add only the data sources, tools, and knowledge the agent needs. Data sources let the agent search trusted enterprise information. Tools or actions let it do something, such as creating or updating a record. Knowledge files are useful for policies, runbooks, and procedures that should travel with the agent. Apply least privilege. If the agent only needs to read IT runbooks, do not grant a ticket update action. Also note that some cloud source connections, such as certain BigQuery or cloud storage scenarios, must be configured through the Flow Builder rather than only through conversational prompts. Step 5 is adding subagents. You do not need subagents for every agent, but they are helpful when a workflow contains clearly different responsibilities. In our IT example, classification, knowledge retrieval, and escalation logic are naturally separate. In the Flow tab, hover over the main agent and choose Add Subagent. Give each subagent a narrow responsibility, its own instructions, and only the data it needs. This modular approach makes the system easier to test and reduces the temptation to write one enormous instruction block that tries to do everything. Step 6 is preview and testing. Do not test only the happy path. Use at least 5 categories of test cases: a normal request, a request with missing information, an ambiguous request, a high-risk or security issue, and an out-of-scope request. Check whether the agent follows the required output structure, whether it correctly uses trusted information, and whether it escalates when it should. If something is wrong, update the instructions or flow, then preview again. The build loop is refine, preview, and repeat. Step 7 is scheduling and human approval. The Schedule tab can run supported agent workflows on a recurring basis. For higher-risk actions, use a human-in-the-loop checkpoint so the agent can prepare the action, but a person approves it before completion. One current operational detail is important. Google documents that scheduled runs use user credentials that expire every 14 days, so schedules must be refreshed to continue running. That may change over time, but today it is a real design consideration. The broader principle is to automate according to business risk, not simply because an action is technically possible. Step 8 is launch and governance. Click. Create to launch the agent. After launch, users can open it from the agent gallery and interact with it. Sharing behavior is controlled by organization settings and can require administrator approval. One security point deserves special attention. Google warns that sharing an agent can also make its associated data sources and uploaded files queryable by the users you share it with, even when those users do not directly have access to the original source. Therefore, review agent knowledge and data access before sharing broadly. Treat every agent as a governed application with an owner and lifecycle. Agent Designer is not the only way to build with Gemini. Stay in Agent Designer when the workflow fits the available connectors, visual flow, and no-code experience. Move to ADK when you need custom code, complex deterministic workflow logic, advanced tool integrations, engineering tests, or CI/CD. Google's Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform provides the managed runtime, sessions, identity, observability, and scaling services for production agents. A good strategy is to prove the business workflow quickly in Agent Designer, then move to ADK only when the requirements justify the engineering investment. Now let's build the example. The IT Service Desk triage agent accepts a user issue, classifies the category and priority, retrieves approved guidance, drafts a helpful response, and then decides whether the case requires escalation. The goal is not to replace support staff. The goal is to resolve routine requests faster while moving security, access, outage, and uncertain cases to the right human. We will implement this using a main orchestrator and 3 focused subagents. Before touching the UI, define the agent contract. Our inputs include the issue, impact, device or application, recent changes, and any available error message or evidence. The output must always include a summary, category, priority, and reason, knowledge reference, recommended action, follow-up questions, and an escalation flag. Boundaries are equally important. The agent should not reset accounts directly, invent policy, or perform destructive actions. Suspected security events and widespread outages should always escalate. When evidence is insufficient, the agent should ask instead of guessing. In Agent Designer, create the main orchestrator with a prompt like this. Notice that the prompt explicitly names the 3 sub-agents we want, defines the order of work, requires approved knowledge, prevents fabricated actions, and enforces a standard output structure. After Gemini creates the draft, open the Flow tab and inspect the main agent instructions. The main agent should focus on orchestration rather than trying to perform every specialized task itself. Its job is to gather context, route work, combine results, and enforce the rules. Now create the 3 subagents. The classifier only determines category and priority and must be allowed to say uncertain. The knowledge helper only searches approved IT guidance and returns relevant steps with a source or reference. It must never make up a fix. The escalation helper evaluates risk and handoff criteria. It should escalate security events, privileged access requests, account lockouts, widespread outages, destructive actions, and unresolved uncertainty. Keeping these roles narrow creates clear success criteria and makes troubleshooting much easier. Next, build a small test matrix. A VPN problem after a password change should normally route to Access or VPN and may not need escalation unless the account is locked. Entering credentials into a suspicious page should be high-priority security and immediately escalate. A widespread email slowdown may represent an outage. An unknown administrator tool should trigger policy review rather than silent installation. A vague request like "something is broken" should cause the agent to ask questions instead of guessing. Your pass criteria are correct routing, no invented policy, clear rationale, and safe escalation. After launch, operate the agent like a small software product. Observe where users get value and where the agent misses. Review wrong categories, incorrect priorities, poor knowledge matches, over-escalation, under-escalation, unsafe behavior, and unclear responses. Refine the instructions, knowledge, or flow, then rerun the same test matrix before relaunching. Keep versions of the instructions and tests so changes are measurable. Prompt quality matters, but operational discipline is what makes an agent reliable over time. Use this checklist before you launch any Gemini agent. Make the goal explicit. Define inputs and outputs, include boundaries, connect only required data and tools, keep sub-agents focused, test edge and high-risk cases, review sharing for data exposure, and assign an owner with a review and retirement process. The core operating philosophy is simple. Build small, test hard, grant least privilege, launch safely, and improve continuously. These are the official Google references used for this tutorial. Because Gemini Enterprise evolves quickly, always confirm the current interface, model availability, sharing behavior, and scheduling limitations in Google's documentation for your tenant and region. You can reuse this presentation as a build guide and use the accompanying narration document as a script for a training video. Thank you for watching. Once you understand the agent designer pattern, the same approach can be applied across many business functions. IT can use agents for triage and runbook assistance. HR can support onboarding and policy questions. Sales can automate research and follow-up preparation. Finance and operations can use agents for reporting, policy guidance, and exception handling. Customer service can combine case context with approved knowledge. The best approach is to start with one focused workflow, prove measurable value, put governance around it, and then scale. Thank you for watching this KMC Technologies Group training on creating agents in Gemini Enterprise. We hope this walkthrough gives you a practical pattern you can reuse in your own organization. Subscribe to KMC Technologies Group for practical AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and automation tutorials. For help designing or implementing enterprise AI agents, visit kmctechnologiesgroup.com or contact sales at KMC Technologies Group. Subscribe to KMC Technologies Group for practical AI, cloud, cybersecurity, and automation tutorials.